Welcome into another new episode of Let's Talk on Blue Ridge 11. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Thanks for tuning in. We are cruising along here, already on to episode 2. Hope you enjoy today's conversation, so here we go. Our first guest excelled at 2 different sports during his Cocalico athletic career and honestly could have gone to college for either one. And as fate would have it, he did wind up playing both sports in college. So let's welcome to the show, Cocalico grad, Jhet Janis. Jhet, thanks so much for coming on Let's Talk.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited and, ready to dive into whatever you want to dive into. So,
we have a lot. But first, before we get to This Is Your Life, Jhet Janis, fill everybody in. What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I graduated from Millersville University in May 2019. Kind of shortly after there, I graduated a degree in sociology criminology. Currently, I work for Exelon Nuclear, work in nuclear security. So that's kind of where kind of life took me after Millersville.
Well, you had such an interesting journey through your high school and your college athletic career. We've got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to rewind it all the way back to those Cocalico days. You were playing football for the Eagles. They had you at quarterback, they had you at safety, and at times punt returner. You were pretty good at all 3, but which one did you like to play the most and why?
Probably, my senior year playing quarterback is probably fun, especially with an offense of a triple option, because you have so many opportunities to make big plays, and it's kind of comes down to you. You can't make a mistake. You make bad read. You got to see what happens. You got to be smart. You got to really focus on, what defenses are coming at you that week, because it falls in your hands. So that's kind of, I like that the pressure, and that's kind of where I like. So.
Yeah, there was a lot of responsibility on a Cocalico quarterback running that system. So obviously had to have your ducks in a row. But I want to talk about defense for a minute. In our series 11 of the last 20, we had you ranked as the number 9 defensive player of the last 20 years, right? And wouldn't you know it, your brother Brett snuck right in front of you to take the 8th spot. So how did it feel to be on the list, and how cool was it being there back to back with your brother?
Yeah, first of all, that was an awesome show you guys had.
Number 9, Cocalico's Jhet Janis, 2013 Section 2 Defensive Back of the Year, future safety for the Oregon Ducks, Millersville Marauders.
I wasn't expecting, it to be kind of like, back to back like that. I think it was awesome. It kind of irked me a little bit that, he jumped me in a spot, but I think overall, it was awesome, and, definitely brought back a lot of memories. And, I know my parents were probably super stoked to see that, and, it was great to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know his passing was tough on you and your family, but is there a lasting memory of maybe the way he played football that you could share with everybody?
Definitely. I remember growing up, going to his games at a young age. I remember one memory. I was super young. It was a game at Ephrata. I remember I was standing on a fence. I couldn't even tell you the age, super young, but I remember like other kids, older kids next to me, like talking about my brother. And it's just a moment that stuck with me. They were just saying like, I want to be like him. I want to play like him when I'm older or whatever. And it happened when I was super young, and it was one of those things that always stuck with me. But yeah, it was awesome growing up watching him. I always want to be better, and so I hope he looked down on me, and I did a good job. So
yeah, from what I could tell, he was known for his big hits. So
looking, and then here's the catch made by Ambron, and man, there is Janis again. Boy, to send him to the turf at the 35-yard line.
All right, Jhet, got to ask you, in your senior year, you played Lampeter Strasburg week 8. Huge game for you, ton of touchdowns, but one of the most spectacular things that happened in that game was an interception where you come flying across the back end of the defense and you catch the ball on your head. Do you remember that, and what was that like when that was happening?
That one was, I can't even really put in words exactly what was going on when I not sure what made me lay out for that ball like that, because it was not even really in the area. So for me to come down with it was probably the best play I ever made in high school. And I know a lot of people were kind of like, how did he do that on the field? They kind of wanted to call it incomplete, but I think it was a clean catch. But that one was special for me.
All right, let's dig a little deeper into your high school career. Junior year was 2012. Cocalico Eagles go 9-1 of the regular season, win the Section 2 title. How much fun was that season, and how rewarding was it to win that section title?
That season was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a lot of really good players on that team, and I think that's why we were able to, go as far as we did. It was my junior year, so that senior class, there was a ton of really, really good athletes, and then my class coming up. I think the biggest thing is basically we all stuck together from a very young age, and I think that's kind of why we were pretty good. And then you can't forget about the Coach G stash that year. I mean, he kind of in the beginning of the season said that he would grow out a stash, based on our performances. And you pull back the old clips, you can see how messy that thing got, but that was a really fun year and definitely, I think, lasting impact on Cocalico football.
Awesome. Well, during that year, you guys beat Manheim Central 48-35. It was week 6. Obviously a huge win for the program. I found an interesting clip here, and I want to show you and everybody at home what it looks like. So let's roll it for you.
2nd and 11. Handoff, Schober gives it back to Janis. He wants to go long. Open is Kirshner. He's got it. Casey Kirshner, touchdown Eagles.
What a gutsy call there. You get to throw one pass in that game, and it was a reverse toss, 75-yard bomb to Casey Kirshner in the 4th quarter there. What were you thinking when they called your number for that, and how did it feel to actually pull it off, Jhet?
I mean, that is a play that I think has been in the Cocalico playbook for a very long time. You'll see that play every year, but in that moment, in that play, I mean, 4th quarter, that was kind of the dagger. But I mean, I was super pumped to get that call. I was wearing gloves, right before that play, and my hands were sweaty, so I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh man, we'll see how this goes. But I mean, that was probably my favorite play in high school football, one of them, and Casey Kirshner almost fell down out there. So, we probably would have never let him down for that. But that play, that was a special one.
That's awesome. I'm glad I found that. I'm glad we could roll that back. Let's switch from, your football days to when you were a javelin thrower. I remember covering you your senior year. It was just unbelievable. You win gold at leagues, districts, states. What was that experience like, and how were you able to kind of just be so good at throwing the javelin?
Well, I can't say that it was, all me. I got to give literally all the credit to Scott Crawl. I mean, Coach Crawl, Cocalico, is probably the best coach I ever had in my entire life. The time and effort he puts into athletes across the LL, across the state. I mean, he set that up for me. I was my freshman year, I was a baseball player. Going to baseball practice, about 30 minutes before, he pulled me aside and asked me to throw a couple softballs against the gym wall. I never met this guy in my life. Didn't know who he was. And I was like, okay. So I threw softballs as hard as I could against the wall. And he told me, look, your arm, give me a chance on coaching you through javelin. I was a freshman. He said, by your junior, senior year, I can promise you I'll have a state medal around your neck. And kind of, the rest is kind of history. And, everything he promised in my athletic career, like he said, you put in the work, pretty much it's going to happen. Just let me train you. And, I give all the credit to him. His determination for the athletes he coaches is something that I'll forever be grateful for.
Yeah, great coach. Loved watching him coach you, and obviously some good advice there from him. It turned into a scholarship for javelin to go to Oregon. So what made you want to pick kind of throwing the javelin over football in college?
I mean, I knew for me, I had a really big junior year in track. So kind of your junior year to go to bigger schools is really important because it happens early. So bigger schools kind of contact you in the recruiting process. I knew football was kind of out of the question for me, just because I wasn't really being recruited. I wasn't kind of, making big plays or, getting myself out there going to camps or anything. So I kind of put all my effort to track and field because I knew I wanted to be a college athlete. And when I had that small glimpse, when I got that first glimpse of, hey, I could really go to a big school to do this, that's kind of where I put my efforts. And at the time, University of Oregon was the #1 track school in the program. This is 6 years ago, maybe now. But they had at the time, you hear about their facilities, you hear about Nike. They were way advanced. Other schools have now caught up with them as far as facilities. But just taking a visit there and seeing it, it was like, man, I gotta go here. It's the #1 track school for javelin. I mean, a coach is only going to take 1 or 2 javelin throwers into their program a year, so it's a little different than football compared to 20 recruits. So for me, it was kind of like, man, I got to try this and I got to do it and pursue it.
Okay, so you make the trip all the way across America to Oregon. You get to be in the program, the amazing facilities. I saw you threw the javelin a bunch. Had your best one. I think it was maybe, I want to say 2015. What was it like being on the Oregon track team?
It was awesome because when I got there as a freshman, I was doing really well right away. So coach told me early, hey, you're not redshirting. So I knew I was going to be able to compete as a 18-year-old, 18-year-old freshman, going to get to travel and, throw the javelin and compete. And at the time, my teammate was Sam Krauser, and he was a 2-time national champ. So that was my training partner. And it was a really great experience. So I basically, kind of took it and, try to do my best. So kind of having a really good freshman year that year. And that's kind of right before I was getting ready for nationals. Just got back from Pac-12s. We won Pac-12s. I took 4th, doing really good, hit four PRs in 4 meets. And then that's kind of when my first injury happened.
Sorry, so somehow though you transitioned from javelin over to the football field, which is almost unheard of, and you were able to play football for the Oregon Ducks. So tell us how that whole thing happened, and you must have enjoyed it, right?
I kind of had the thought of football in my mind just because of the track and football connection at Oregon is kind of unique. Our strength coach was football and track, and with my elbow injury, it was one of those things where I could do everything but throw a javelin. The only thing that hurt me would be throwing a javelin. And so I right away started training for football in the summer, and no one really knew. I didn't even tell my track coach yet. And I didn't even know if it was going to work out or not. I called him, I think it was late summer, and I said, hey, can I play football? He's like, what do you mean play football? I was like, I was wondering if I could walk on the football team and get in connections and try out. And surprisingly, he's like, if you think you can do it, then go for it. So I got a couple connections within the athletic department. I showed up at a tryout. I ran the 40 and I ran routes and did a workout, and then got accepted as a preferred walk-on. And that's kind of how my journey as a football player began.
Okay, very surprising, but obviously must have been a good time. You got to play in a couple games I saw, had a tackle there. But then, of course, you make the trip from Oregon and then you transfer to Millersville to play football for them. So you come back to the PSAC. Tell people, kind of why you felt you had to make that, and then fill us in on how many seasons you got to play with Millersville.
Yeah, so I did play 2 seasons at Oregon. It was I walked on. That spring, I went to defensive back, had a really good spring, and that next fall was the fall that I had made it. I mean, Division I, it's tough. I mean, you only travel with 65 players on the football team, and I ended up making the travel team, got in the lineup. It was awesome. Got to travel to really big schools, places that I would never think that I'll get playing time or play. But as defensive back, and then kind of made the decision after we had not a great year, and then they got rid of the whole coaching staff, and that was kind of the transition for me where I kind of wanted a fresh start. I knew my javelin was kind of, in my past. I just want to play football. So I wanted to transfer somewhere where I could just play football. I knew I wanted to play in the PSAC. The PSAC is a very competitive conference in Pennsylvania, and a lot of good schools. Did I think I was going to go to Millersville? Probably not at the time. I was in connection with Coach Brightback at the time, who was there, and he was an awesome coach. I knew a couple other players from the area that played there, and when I got there, they kind of just kind of welcomed me in right away. It was super easy, just going through the whole process. They made it just super simple, and that was the kind of thing I looked for, because I was transferring in the middle of the year too. So I didn't have a lot of time. I had to kind of make a decision, and I did only have 2 years of eligibility left. So I knew I wanted to get somewhere right away, get somewhere I could compete and play. And, it was a good time at Millersville. I was able to get on campus, compete. I played 2 seasons there, started 22 games, which was the 2 seasons I was there. So, it was a good ending for me. I can't hang my head. I'm definitely happy. So
yeah. All right, you have something you want to talk about that means something special to you. So we would love to give you the opportunity to kind of share that with us and our viewers now.
Yeah, awesome. Just talking about my high school career. My training partner in high school was the late Cole Prophet, Mannheim Central graduate. He won states in 2013. We trained together for a few years. He was always coming to Cocalico, vice versa, or we would go out there and train. I'm actually wearing a shirt right now. It's his organization that his parents had started. It's 4kids.org. And basically, what they do is they promote physical fitness for kids with special needs in the area, as well as give them social interactions. They have events coming up. You can check out their website, 4coolskids.org. And it's important because it puts kids with special needs in the spotlight. And I think it's an awesome organization. And like I said, Cole, it's something Cole would want. And you can go on their website, 4coolskids.org, make donations or find events that they have upcoming. But something that I wanted to share, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. Once again, it's 4coolskids.org.
All right, thanks for sharing that. We really appreciate that. And we really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on Let's Talk and sharing all the memories, reliving those, and really cluing us into kind of that crazy football journey that you've had. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So there you have it, folks. A very fun conversation with Cocalico's own Jhet Janis. We've got to keep this show rolling along. Coming up after the break, this young lady is making a difference at a Division I soccer program in the ACC. I'm ready to hear all about it. I hope you are too. That's next on Let's Talk.